All right, welcome back to another episode of the Hockey North Weekly Podcast. I'm your host, Tyler Lizotte, here with Brendan Palu. Brendan, how are you doing today?
I'm well. The May long weekend is over. It's still a bit cool out, but summer is pretty much on the horizon, and nice to have the nicer weather. Eventually will come to us here, but it's nice to see that we're well into spring.
Yeah, no, for sure. The weather's starting to come around a bit, and I mean, for us, it's going to be nice as it gets nice. We can start to enjoy some lake days in the summer and enjoy brief the brief break from the hockey season, and while we still get the time to prepare for the upcoming season.
Yeah, of course. We have lots to talk about on this show. We have obviously we now know who the Western Hockey League champion is. It's the Medicine Hat Tigers, and two Northern products on the Medicine Hat Tiger team that will be participating in the Memorial Cup, which begins on Friday. Of course, that being Chetwynd's Caden Lindstrom and McBride's Tanner Mollendijk. Of course, Lindstrom coming back from a season plus long injury to come back in the finals, have an impact there. And then Mollendijk, of course, that missing piece, as it were, for the Tigers from the Saskatoon Blades prior to the trade deadline. He had a big final, and Tigers off to Rimouski here to play the host Oceanic to kick off the Memorial Cup.
Yeah, I mean that was a very I mean it was a short final for the Western Hockey League, but um, no shortage of action, and a lot of times throughout that series, I thought Spokane could have had the win, had the upper edge, but that the goaltending of Harrison Minigan was phenomenal, and I mean the Northern products really came up to the occasion. Caitlin Lindstrom looked like he didn't skip a beat, and Tanner Mollendijk, you know what you get from him on the back end. He's so dynamic with his footwork and his ability to make those elite stretch passes and find those seams on the cycle, and just up and down that lineup. There's a lot to love about that Medicine Hat team, and I think they have a really good chance at maybe winning the Memorial Cup this year. So we'll see how it goes.
Yeah, it's like the top four rated teams at the end of the season in the CHL rankings are going at it. So a very quality field. You've got the Tigers, the London Knights, then you've got Rimouski, which went to game six against Moncton, the team that beat them in the final, who are also there, coached by Gardner McDougall. And it seems like, a coach like Gardner, who's, with his son, who's the GM of the Moncton Wildcats, everything he touches turns to gold. He was at UNB for the longest time, dynasty program there in the university ranks, and now first year coaching major junior, takes the Wildcats to a Memorial Cup. Oceanic, of course, a very credible host team. So a very good and a very wide open tournament with four quality teams hitting the ice.
Yeah, I don't think it would be a stretch to say, Brendan, that this might be one of the best Memorial Cup tournaments we've seen in a long time, where really all four teams could very well uh, have that have that shot to win. I know you got to say it for every team going in, but truly, when you look at the depth of these rosters going in, and there's just so much firepower across the board for all of the teams involved, that it is going to be high flying, and there's going to be a lot of close games, but I think there's going to be a lot of high scoring games too, and it's just going to be the parity is going to be awesome to watch here at this tournament.
Yeah, usually is, but I think especially this year with how close and how evenly matched all four teams are, it should make for some pretty exciting hockey.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Moving on here, we also have the Centennial Cup that ended, the Junior A National Championship, and of Calgary Canucks are winning at home against the Melfort Mustangs. Mustangs, the SJHL representative, falling in the national championship game for the second consecutive year. Amar Power with the Cam River Fighting Walleye, they were part of that tournament. They unfortunately did not get past the round robin stage, so falling just short of the quarterfinals there. But a good season for Amar, who will survey his options heading into the summer in terms of where he wants to play in terms of post-secondary. So congratulations, Amar, on a good season there. Of course, Amar, a Caribou Cougar graduate. So you got to live out a pretty strong last year. Didn't quite get all the way in terms of the national championship, but winning a league title in the SIJHL in the Northern Ontario slash Outer Minnesota limit area. So pretty good year for him, and see what's in store for him heading into next fall.
Yeah, big congratulations on behalf of the Hockey North team to Amar, and honestly, probably one of the nicest guys that I have had a chance to get to know over the years. And he played with my brother growing up in PGMHA, and so it's always special to see an athlete and an individual that you've got to be witnessing to as they've developed over the years and grown up to be able to achieve what Amar's been able to achieve here. It's awesome to see, and it's going to be exciting to see what his next step is in either his hockey career or even better in life. So it's pretty awesome.
And speaking of local products too, we also have Brody Martin, formerly the Prince George Spruce Kings, signing a letter of intent to go to the AJHL next year to the Olds Grizzlies. So maybe not surprising, Brody not quite getting the look-see or maybe the ice time or volume of games maybe he wanted with his hometown team. So a chance to maybe for him to hit the reset button and get more of an expanded opportunity out in Alberta.
Yeah, I think it's going to be a good move for it's going to be a good move for Martin. I mean, the AJHL, it's the hockey there is good, and I mean we've seen some Northern products go and play in the AJHL and have a lot of success. And for a young athlete, sometimes it is needed to get that change of scenery and find a new opportunity to really showcase your game and further your development. And I mean, as much as we'd like to see him back here in Prince George for the next season, couldn't be happier for that transition for him. And the Olds Grizzlies, they are a good program in the AJHL, so hopefully there's a lot of opportunity there for him.
Mhm. And of course, too, we were talking off air. We'll touch on it a little bit. We've got the Eyes tournament taking place in Prince George. It's kind of a spring summer female AAA tournament that takes place in the city, and I guess another opportunity for some of the local kids to keep on playing and play for uh, pride and maybe some passion in the sport as some of the AAA caliber players that play for the Capitals and abroad get some extra ice time in.
Yeah. No, it's going to be a good tournament for a lot of the young girls that are going to be partaking in this tournament. And I mean, it's just a weekend tournament here. It's going to be taking place in Kin 3 this upcoming weekend. And a lot of the teams are coming up from the other team coming up is from the Lower Mainland. So you're going to get a lot of people from the Lower Mainland coming up here to the north, being here and a part of it. So it's going to be cool to really showcase a little bit of what the city is about. For the You don't often get to see a lot of these Lower Mainland teams come up here, and so I think it's going to be a really good weekend. John LaFontaine's really putting a lot of effort to bring the hospitality. There's going to be a big banquet dinner on the Friday night for the families and the players involved, and I think it's just going to be a very awesome experience for these young girls to go and showcase their talents, have some fun, and just have a weekend of hockey. It's going to be really awesome. I was talking to John about it. He said that they have some dry land activity. They're going to do some practices. So it's not just going to be, a set of games being played. It's a full on development weekend. So it's going to be really cool. And, he was very gracious inviting us to come out and do some videography for this event and to do some interviews and cover it. So I'm excited to be able to be a part of it and see it all come together.
Yeah. And of course, too, you also have the spring ID camps for the Caribou Cougar programs in the Northern Capitals that wrapped up early on in the month. We touched upon it briefly in the show, but still a lot of hard decisions for the coaching staff to make in terms of who to bring back and who might be on the team come the fall camps in August here, and uh, an early glimpse of the future. And it just seems like we just finished last season a couple months ago, and the work doesn't really seem to stop for them.
It doesn't. It's almost never ending. And the general consensus around the rink for all of our ID camps is the talent pool is very, very good. It is, of course, when AAA hockey, when you get players going through the ranks, you're only going to have a few players, a core core set of players for a couple of years and they move up to the next level. So of course U15s are going to have a lot, a lot of new faces on that team. There's going to be a bit of growing pains, I think, but there was some really impressive talents at the camp. And, Merced has a real good eye for finding those players that are going to succeed under his system and that are going to be able to bring it all together. I mean, we saw what he's done the last couple of years with this team, and I'm very excited to see how the U15s are going to look. U18s, of course, older team last season, a lot of our core guys aging out, but again, competitive camp, and Tyler Bruff is looking at it from the same angle. He thinks, it's going to be a competitive team this year. Of course, we're going to see a little bit more come the summer fall camp, but it's very encouraging. And the talent pools in the north are a lot stronger than I think a lot of people on the outside looking in would think. And I think the Caribou program is looking for another big year. And the Northern Capitals, Hayden James Barra, super excited about the talent pool coming on the female side of the game. And it is very exciting. And the general sentiment is excitement and opportunity here with the Caribou organization. And I couldn't be more excited to be a part of it myself. And we're going to have a lot of, I think, awesome stuff to cover as the season unfolds and as we get closer to the season here.
And speaking of local talent, the prospects draft a couple weeks removed now, but two of the Prince George products who were drafted in the WHL prospects draft, who are guests on this week's show. You've got Kadric Mujcin, a fifth-round pick of the Prince George Cougars, as well as Logan Henry of Prince George, who played at the Burnaby Winter Club Academy. He was drafted at the end of the first round by the Regina Pats. Those are our two guests this week. And, they're going to have development camps of their own with the fellow draftees and rookie players that are looking to make a mark over the weekend. And nice to see Kadric drafted by the hometown team, as well as a guy like Logan Henry, who did go the academy route, but caught the eye of the Regina Pats. And, they have a chance to leave an impression as well with their WHL clubs.
Yeah, really awesome to see both Kadric and Logan get their names selected at the WHL prospects draft. And I mean, both in a way, they're both very similar players. They're both very physical, hard-nosed players that don't shy away from the hard areas. They battle hard in the corner. They win battles on the wall, but they just have that. They have that ability to translate that into opportunities in the slot, and they generate. Not only do they generate those high danger chances for their line mates, but they both have a incredibly good release and have the ability to then put the puck in the net themselves. And I think over the years, it's been evident that both those players have excellent work ethic and dedication to their craft in the game. And it's going to be very, very exciting to see how those two players develop over the next season here post draft, and to see where their hockey career takes them as they look to find their way into the next step with the Western Hockey League.
And speaking of the local hockey teams, I'd be remiss not to mention the Prince George Cougars, who have also been busy in terms of reshaping their roster for next season. So much so that they've signed three players in a matter of days to fill out their roster for next season. All three pretty much coming off their collegiate list. First one was former Salmon Arm Silverback uh, and Melfort Mustang and Riley Ash, 2006 born forward, 19-year-old, was a third-round pick of the Cougars in the 2021 prospects draft and has decided, like a lot of junior A players, to make the jump to major junior. Riley, of course, a commit to Nebraska Omaha, 6'2", 183-pound forward. Last year tallied 27 points and 59 penalty minutes with the Salmon Arm Silverbacks. Cole Height, a American player from the Anaheim Junior Ducks U15 AAA program, tallying 70 points in 66 games last year. He is also a forward. And then last but certainly not least, Cougars signing 2008 born forward from Minnesota in Jack Finnegan. He was added to the team's list last season, becoming a player of interest, tallying 18 goals and 24 assists in 37 games with the Sioux Falls Power 16U program this season. So, a chance for the Cougars to kind of reshape their roster and house. There's going to be no shortage of opportunity for the younger players to make their mark, as well as some of the roster players from last year to take a step up in terms of ice time and offense production. So, much like the Caribou Cougars and the Northern Capitals, lots of opportunity to be had for those affiliated with the Prince George Cougars Western Hockey League franchise to make their mark. And those three signings, don't want to call them free transactions, but you don't give up anything to acquire those players. And it's a chance for Prince George to kind of rebuild or retool from within.
Yeah, I mean, you said it best there, Brendan. And I think it's good. It's encouraging to see these early signings of quality prospects for Mark Lamb. As it's obviously there's still a chance Riley Heidt does come back this year. I mean, it's looking like very unlikely from the standpoint of the season he had, and signing his pro deal with the Minnesota Wild. But in a sense, they're going to have to be in the mindset of carving out a new identity for this team. You're now at the point where it's post Riley Heidt, Cohen Zimmer era, and the best way to do that is bringing in talent that is of that the younger pool, and try and build it from within. I'm sure we're going to see some trades coming down the wire here closer to the season, but you still have key pieces in Joshua Ravensbergen. You're, at least for now, still going to have Tarek Parasak. I mean, Jet Lajoie is going to make a step forward. I think Aiden Foster as well. And another year of Carson Carls after getting his feet wet in his rookie season. There's a possibility this Cougar team could be just as dangerous this year. And it's going to come down to the players that come in, that work for it, that earn their spots, and then work to keep it, as Mark Lamb and Jim Playfair look to put together another winning season for the organization, but also for the fans of Prince George.
Yeah, you got to draft well and develop well, and the Cougars have done a good job of that the last few seasons. They've maybe not had the final results they've been looking for in terms of the postseason, but it's a chance for them to not drop down too far. Obviously, this team isn't coming up this year is not going to be able to score as easily as the ones in years past. And you look at departures such as Matteo Denis, who's a middle six forward, lost in the expansion draft to the Penticton Vs. You also lose Aboria Vallis, who aged out and is going pro. Ditto for William Komet. So I mean, there's lots of ice time and opportunity to go around. And, for these three players that were recently signed, all in the forward position, they'll be given, I'm sure, every opportunity to make their mark and to find their niche on a Cougar team that will be a lot younger on the ice.
Yeah, and I mean it's exciting from a fan perspective too. I know you and I have talked about it at the end of the season a bit, and I'm sure as the summer's going to go on, we're going to look at it and talk about all these new faces coming in. I know for me personally, it's always exciting seeing new players come into the organization and make the team. And there's excitement in wanting to get out to the games and see the talent on display and see what's there. And I think that's something to be anticipated for the fans of Prince George as well.
Yeah, it's a nice to see, that new blood as it were, in terms of new players, because these situations only come around really every couple of years. I mean, it's very cyclical, junior hockey, where you have a core for 3, 4, 5 seasons, and then uh every now and again you have to rebuild and retool, and that's what you're seeing here with the Cougars. And it's going to be probably very interesting for the fans too, you know to kind of go through this as well. And it's a chance, like I said, for a lot of these younger players to make their mark. And that's all you want as a young player coming into an organization, uh is to get an opportunity to play and to play often. And that's what I think these trio of players are going to get.
Absolutely. I mean, we saw that this last season when, you had Caden Lemire join the team. You had Patrick Sopiarts, in a way, Carson Carrolls too, these young rookies coming in, and very quickly they adapted to the pace of the game. They fit the system, and to see them every shift make that mark and just show why they belong in this moment. And I mean, that's the thrill of junior hockey right there, and it's going to be cool to see it again.
Hmm. Of course, we talked about Kadric Mujcin and Logan Henry, guests on the show this week. We're kind of in that down period now where everything is winding down in the junior hockey circles. Not a lot is going on except for maybe transactions where we, talked about at length, um, the three signings the Cougars just had. But we're kind of in that time of year where you're seeing some coaching changes, some player activity for next year in terms of signings, commitments. We're seeing a couple trades in the WHL for next year for overagers as well. We just saw the Penticton V's acquire Vegas Golden Knights first round pick Trevor Connolly from the Spokane Chiefs for next year, and if he commits, that's a high profile player that could come to the WHL next year for a brand new program. So it should make for a very interesting next few months. And you've also got some coaching vacancies as well that are going to have to be built, going to have to be filled. So lots of movement and a lot of moving parts here as we watch and see a lot of the dominoes fall across the junior hockey landscape.
Yeah, I mean, it's gonna be never ending. It feels like for the off season when you just consider how many coaching vacancies are now available. And I know I just read earlier Manny Viveros is leaving the Giants organization. He's taken a deal in the pro ranks again. So I mean, in the BC division specifically, that is going to be something to look for, and to see the Vancouver Giants, who are still in a way an up and coming team. They got Cameron Schmidt of Prince George on that roster, and some other really good players that are going to be joining this season. They got to find that coach to steer the ship. And I know a lot of Cougars fans are probably going to be keeping their eyes on what's going on in Vancouver.
Yeah, and of course you have the coaching staff of the Cougars, Mark Lamb, Jim Playfair. You also have Carter Rigby. Haven't quite signed their extensions yet. I know Jim Playfair does have an out clause in terms of other opportunities, more so pro than junior, but you would think if the Giants were serious about having, that win now attitude, I would imagine they would want to place a call to the ownership group of the Cougars and maybe ask permission to speak with Jim. Obviously, there's no guarantee that'll happen, but Jim's a very popular name around the hockey circles, and I think it would only be wise for certain teams to maybe place that call.
I wouldn't be surprised if quite a few teams have inquired. I mean, in my educated prediction for what's going to happen with Jimmy, I would guarantee he stays. You look at just how close Prince George is to Fort St. James. I know he goes back a lot to visit his community and still very much is a part of it. I wouldn't be shocked if he stayed in Prince George, but you never really know at the end of the day if there's an opportunity for Jim to go and be a head coach for another organization. And if the situation's right, I could see that too. But that could be a hot topic for Cougars fans to keep their eye on as the summer progresses.
Yeah, not sure much else in terms of the way of coverage, but should be an exciting summer coming up here as we and with that, before we send off, here's our interviews with Kadric Mujcin and Logan Henry. Welcome back to Hockey North Weekly. With me now is Caribou Cougars forward and Prince George Cougars prospect Kadric Mujcin. Kadric, congratulations on being drafted in the fifth round by the PG Cougars in the prospects draft. How do you feel about being picked by your hometown team?
I'm excited for sure. I feel like it's going to be great development for me. Just being around them and always being near them. Like just I can go to their practices whenever and like just always being available for them. It's great.
You were talking just before we got started in the interview. You had a couple of American teams that were talking to you pretty heavily towards the draft. You had some questionnaires from a lot of the teams, sent to you in regards to getting to know you as a bit of a person off the ice. What was that whole experience like going through that prospects draft, going through those steps and the teams wanting to get to know more about you?
Uh, it was it was fun. Like you just get to talk to all these teams and like they just want to get to know you and like it just you're waiting for the day, you're waiting for the draft day, and like there's a lot of suspense of where are you gonna go, when are you gonna go, and like as far as the questionnaires, like just seeing all like you get an email when you're in class and you're like you get all excited and yeah, it was fun going through all the whole process.
Mhm. Just take us through the other part of the waiting part as well. It was a little bit of a different setup this year with the Penticton expansion draft, the U.S. prospects draft in and around the same couple of days. You had the first round, the one night, and then the rest of the draft afterwards. I mean, you probably had a pretty good idea you wouldn't go on the first night, but
Yeah.
just knowing that, it just wasn't a matter of if, but when going in day two. And, was it about where you thought you would go in the fifth round?
uh I didn't really think I was gonna like I didn't really care when I would go. I'm mostly cared about where I went. Like, um, I don't think where you go in the draft means a lot. Like, you're going to the same camp as I'm going to the same camp as a first rounder. Let's say, like, it just matters like what you do at the camp.
You had a pretty solid year in the U15 ranks this year in your second year, 63 points, 27 games, 84 penalty minutes, 13 points. 6 games, you got a taste of playing the U17 level this past season, 4 points in 6 games. Just talk about the season. Obviously, you didn't quite, go back to back in terms of winning that playoff style tournament like you did the year prior, but all in all, I think you got to be pretty fairly pleased with how you played.
Yeah, I was really happy with how our year went. I think as a team we developed really well from the start of the season, just from all our team practices, our school hockey with RJ, our gym sessions with Chase. Like it was all it was set up for us to have a good year, and we made a good final run. We went 5-1 in playoffs. Um, we lost to a good Okanagan team, but it was a really good season for us. It was a winning season for us.
hmm And of course, you come by the game honestly. Of course, your dad played junior hockey in the Western League. He's a coach. He's been your coach for the past couple of seasons. Your brother Decker came through the Caribou system, went on to play junior A for a handful of seasons. What's that like to kind of share and pick the brain of, your dad and your brother and you know, kind of watch Decker go through his journey and then kind of pick up a lot of those pieces of knowledge along the way from both from both of them. What's that like?
It was definitely helpful. Just like they helped me through it a lot. Like you know, we would all talk at the dinner table about hockey and just they went through it, so you kind of know what to expect, and they're a big help. And just watching my brother play Caribou, it was I just wanted to play. I couldn't wait to play Caribou, and yeah, it's great.
Now, you attended the U18 spring camp just over the weekend here, and by all reports, you asserted yourself there very well too. Is that kind of the goal this year to make the jump from U15 to U18? It's a pretty substantial jump for most players, but for players like yourself and Jackson Norman did it a couple of years ago. It seemed pretty attainable for you.
Yeah, I think it is. I played at the U17 level and I still did good. I put up points and just the biggest thing to make that jump, I think, is just putting on weight in the summer and just getting physically ready for it.
What's your biggest goal in the off season now? You've gone through the draft hoopla, you've finished your season, a month and a half ago, 2 months ago now. Now with a lot of that stuff out of the way, obviously there is some focus on camps and stuff, but what's the number one goal for you in the off season in terms of getting ready for that U18 camp?
I think a goal for some of my upcoming camps is we have Team BC camp in June, and I made it to the next round, and that's a huge goal for me just to try and make that the Team BC, and for next season just get ready for the Cougars camp, and just prepare myself.
What did the Cougars, talk to you about after they selected you? They kind of tell you much at all in terms of, what they'd like to see out of you come the end of August? Was there any kind of feedback right after they called and picked you?
They didn't really talk about what they want me to do or what they want me to improve yet, but um, you know I'm gonna train with the Cougars trainer a few times a summer and just get in the facility and still train with Chase, but just just get around the Cougars more. And
Yeah. What's your biggest asset as a player in your mind?
uh, personally, I think my most important attribute as a player is my playmaking. Like just being in the low areas, finding my teammates in the slots, and giving them quick passes. I think that's the biggest part of my game.
Does it feel like a dream come true to be picked by your hometown team? I mean, this is, one of the teams you watched growing up. You talked about, coming by the Caribou program, honestly, but Prince George, one of the rare cities where you have two junior hockey programs. You have the Cougars, you have the Spruce Kings. Did it feel like a dream come true?
Yeah, it was definitely surreal. Just like you said, just watching the Cougars and just by sitting in the crowd, you can tell they're a great team and good organization. Like the coaching staff does a good job. Like they're a very smart team and they're always contenders.
Do you have a favorite Cougar player from years gone by that you liked watching or tried to emulate?
Yeah, I love watching Riley Height. He's a special player. I kind of I could see myself gearing my game after him. He's really good playmaker and he was a big part of the Cougars like winning teams, and yeah, he's a great player.
Mhm. What are some of the things that you like to do to kind of get, amped up for a game, trying to get in that right frame of mind? Do you have any pregame rituals or superstitions?
Uh no, I just pregame ritual for me is just going to the stands and listening to music and taping my stick. That's probably the only ritual I have.
You're not a right skate on first or left skate on first kind of guy?
No, I'm not.
Do you have a favorite pregame meal?
Uh I mean, I like chicken and rice. It's good.
Yeah. Okay. I'll ask you a fun one here. You're stranded on a desert island with three of your teammates from your U15 team. Who are you taking with you and why?
Uh I'm taking Morgan Reed, our captain. He likes being in the bush, and he would definitely be a big asset. And then um, I'm taking Breaded Perch, just for the jokes. He's a funny guy, and yeah, he would ease our stress levels down. And the last guy, I would say, um, hmm, probably Reese Barnes.
Yeah.
He's a smart guy, and he's not scared of anything. and he would definitely be valuable in that situation.
Yeah, Reese always goes to the right spots when you pass him the puck.
Yeah,
Yeah. You have a favorite NHL team or NHL player growing up at all?
definitely the Oilers. Just my dad, my brother, they're all Oilers fans, my whole family, and you know, just watching them. So I didn't really have a choice. And
What
then
what do you think of the deep runs they've been on the past couple of years? Obviously, they still have to take the step here to close things out against Vegas, but I mean, you're a game away in the Stanley Cup Finals last year. You're in a position to go deep again. I mean, got to be pretty exciting to watch that team and to, kind of, have a chance to watch two of the best players in the world on a fairly regular basis.
yeah, I mean, like my favorite team making a deep playoff run most years. Like last year, they had a really good comeback. That was really exciting to watch. They made a bounce back after last series from LA, and they had a good game last night. Just excited to watch the rest of their playoff run.
Yeah. I guess anything else you'd like to add or mention at all in regards to I guess the whole experience at all in regards to, being picked and selected in the Western Hockey League?
I don't think so. Just you know, don't 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 expect or don't be sad if you don't go in the first round, like or in the top rounds. It doesn't really mean a lot for the rest of your career. Like just train hard and get ready for the camp.
Yeah. Another thing I wanted to ask you, and obviously this has been around for a while now, but it's been a huge talking point since it got implemented, was the NCAA rule change in terms of eligibility for having major junior players now get NCAA scholarships. I know in your age group this year, you're still a couple of steps away from, being a full-time junior player, but what was there any talk amongst teammates or yourself in regards to that, and maybe you had certain players leaning one way, and now with that avenue being opened, it, kind of opened some eyes a little bit. Was there like a lot of general discussion amongst teammates about it at all?
Well, just my brother's friends, like he went through, having to pick what route, like all their friends, even before like my teammates from last year, before the rule got like placed in the dub, they were kind of skeptical like what route they would want to take, and if they want to go to school or go in the dub. But now you just like go play in the dub and see what happens. You have a good chance of making the NCAA if you're a good player.
Mhm. All right, Kadric. I guess you're one of two people from Prince George actually taken. I was going to ask you this earlier, but it slipped my mind. Now I remember it now. But you're one of two players from Prince George taken. Logan Henry was taken in the first round. Do you know Logan pretty well at all?
Yeah, I know Logan. We played PB together. We're always good friends.
Yeah. You kind of text back and forth after he got picked by Regina in round one at all?
Yeah, we sent our congrats and just we talked a little bit about the organizations, and he's happy to go to Regina, and yeah.
Yeah. No, it was nice to have you on, Kadric. Once again, congratulations on getting picked by the Cougars, and here's hoping for a lot of success with the Caribou U18 program next season.
Yeah, thank you.
All right, welcome back to Hockey North Weekly. With me now is Prince George product and Regina Pats first round pick Logan Henry. Logan, welcome to the show.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Well, Logan, the WHL prospects draft has come and gone. Just talk about the experience and being picked at the end of the first round by a team like the Pats.
Yeah, it's been such a surreal moment for me and my family being selected by Regina. It's been just been an unreal experience, and I can't wait to get started with Regina.
Just talk about that whole process, that prospects draft. talked to Kadric Mujcin about it. You're friends with Kadric, and just take us through the season. Did you talk to a lot of teams? Did you receive a lot of emails and questionnaires and teams that were interested? Just take us through that behind the scenes look of what that whole process was like.
Yeah, obviously got a lot of questionnaires from a lot of teams, and I did get one from Regina too. And Regina is definitely a spot where I would like to play, and super happy I got chose from them. And yeah, I got a lot of questionnaires through the years, talked to a lot of teams, and I'm happy to be with Regina.
Was it a stressful year, or did you feel like there were maybe a few more distractions knowing it was your draft year and there was a lot more going on in the background with teams, trying to get to know you?
Yeah, there's definitely distractions out there. A lot of pressure when you're playing, and I've handled that pretty well. And most kids, have that pressure just on themselves to try and be, as top as they can, the best player they can be. But I've handled that pressure really good for myself.
Let's talk about the year you had at the Burnaby Winter Club. 32 goals, 51 points, 116 penalty minutes. You really amped up the physicality from your first year U15 prep to year number two. Was that a key going into the year that if you were going to make it at a much higher level, that you were going to need to be more physical?
Yeah, I've talked to a lot of people, my family, my agent. That's definitely a role I had to take on, being more physical, and I've accepted that role really well. And I think that's what makes teams really like me is being that physical player.
And just talk about the season there at Burnaby, the type of team you had. Obviously, we touched on your success, but in terms of the team itself in your second season there, what were some of the highlights for Burnaby?
Yeah, definitely highlights for Burnaby was definitely tournaments like the Bauer, the Pat Quinn. I feel like and definitely playoffs too. I feel like those are all tournaments that we really showed what we can do. Obviously did not get the outcome we wanted, but it's just how hockey is, and I felt like that's when we all played our best, and definitely the moments that were my favorite too.
Now, you're from Prince George. You grew up in the city, went through the minor hockey system. You AP'd for the Caribou Cougar U15 program a couple of years ago. What made you want to choose the academy route instead of staying at home?
My brother went to Burnaby Winter Club, U17, and I just followed him through Burnaby. He had a really good experience, and I felt like I followed my brother, and I've had 2 great years at Burnaby now, and I'm playing for them next year too. So I'm super excited that I get to be a part of Burnaby.
Yeah. How would you best describe yourself as a player, and is there anybody that you like to pattern your game after?
Yeah, I definitely like to pattern my game after Brady Tkachuk. I definitely like to be that 200-foot physical player who's a leader on and off the ice, and who just brings physicality to the game, and also can put the puck in the back of the net. So it's definitely someone I look up to as Brady, and that's definitely the player I want to be.
How exciting is it to go to the spring rookie camp in Regina soon and be amongst the two other exceptional first round talents in Maddox Schultz and Pugh there. They're obviously gonna have a chance to play 34 games each this year. You don't quite have the exceptional status, but just to be on the ice with those guys and get a gauge for where you're at in terms of your development. How exciting is that going to be?
No, it's definitely going to be so exciting. Playing with two exceptional players like that. So special to be a part of this team, and super excited for camp to get to know everyone. And it's honestly better to play with them than against them. So super happy to be a part of these two exceptional players, and can't wait for the season to get started.
Where were you when you found out you got drafted?
I was on the airplane coming back from Philadelphia. Yeah, we had Wi-Fi on the plane, so we bought it. waited till we heard my name called, and couldn't. We were really excited, but we were on the airplane, so we had to keep it a little quiet. But yeah, no, we are definitely super excited getting picked by Regina.
Were you there for a tournament?
Yeah, I was there for the WSI
Yeah.
uh,
And what kind of a
Invitational.
tournament is that?
So top teams around the whole world. There's 40 teams in it, a lot of teams, and it's a high end tournament with a lot of talent.
You talked about sticking with the Burnaby Winter Club next year. Is it your goal to play U17 or U18 next year?
My goal is definitely to play U18. I've already signed with Burnaby, so I am playing U18 next year, and I'm super excited to play for them.
If there's one or two things that you'd like to continue to improve upon in terms of your overall game, what would it be and why?
Definitely, I'd like to work on definitely still my shot. Just one timers, shot in the slots. Sometimes I tend to miss those chances and stuff. So I would just like to work on that, and can always get better. So
Yeah. Favorite pregame meal and pregame routine, if you have any.
my favorite pregame meal is definitely chicken Alfredo. I love it all the time. I'll eat it even when there's not a game. It's just one of my favorite meals. And one of my pregame rituals is I take 10 minutes to myself, and I don't even listen to music. I just focus on what I'm going to do this game and my details and stuff. And that's something I do.
Do you like to sit in the stands and do that?
Yeah, because we warm up outside and tend to go on the rink, and yeah, I do. I do either sit in the stands or I just find a quiet place and I do that.
Are you a right skate on first type of player or left skate on first?
I definitely say right skate on. Right, I think my right's a little stronger than my left, so right skate on for sure.
Okay. All right. So here's a fun one for you. You're stranded on a desert island with three of your teammates. Who are you picking to join you and why?
Three teammates. I'm definitely choosing. It's a hard one, but I'm gonna go Elias Papadopoulos, Jackson Baggs, and Cohen Baker.
Okay.
And I'm choosing those guys because Jackson Baggs is my billet brother. We're really close, and that's definitely someone I'd want to be on the island with. And I'd pick Cohen Baker because he's been my one of my best friends for years now, and Elias Papadopoulos because we're really close, and I really like him. So those are three guys I definitely want to be on the island with.
You talked about Cohen Baker. He's a first round pick of the Prince George Cougars. Just talk about what it's like to play with a guy like that on your team that that in the same draft year was just went a few picks ahead of you.
Yeah, he's a special player. He is so skilled, and just what he brings to the game is so special. He's 5'5", but he plays like he's 6 foot, and just a special player. And the Cougars definitely got a good one there.
Yeah. Just talk about I guess growing up in Prince George, when you first got exposed to the game, as well as maybe some of your favorite minor hockey memories growing up.
My favorite hockey memories, just playing when I was back in Pee Wee with Prince George. Just moments like that are so fun, man, and just bonds, bus rides, driving up to Vancouver. Those are definitely just memories that I made along the way, and I'll always keep.
Yeah, I think you were teammates with Kadric on that Pee Wee team, weren't you?
Yeah, yeah, we were. We were really good teammates.
Yeah. All right. Well, thank you very much for joining me on the podcast here. Good luck in your first rookie camp with the Pats, and maybe we can do this again sometime.
Yeah, no, thank you. Of course, anytime.
That was Logan Henry and Kadric Mujcin, top prospects of the Regina Pats and the Prince George Cougars. That's going to do it here for another episode here of the Hockey North Weekly podcast. Catch up on our social media channels for the latest content that we post here on our channels. We really appreciate the support, and that'll do it for another week, for another episode of the Hockey North Weekly podcast.